For those of you that haven't guessed already, I am, of course, talking about Marilyn Delbourge-Delphis, and she's also known as the Duchess of Silicon Valley. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to California so we can speak with Marilyn about her story and her new book, Everybody Wants to Love Their Job. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Now, as the Duchess of Silicon Valley, you're a lady that shouldn't need an introduction at all. But just to get everyone on the same page, can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
First, thank you so much, Neil, for having me in. And also many thanks to our listeners, to whom I would like to apologize for my French accent, even after 3 decades in the United States. So I started my professional life in France and in academia, specializing in an English philosopher, John Locke, and also teaching philosophy and the history of sciences. In parallel, I was a journalist focusing on the history of fashion and fragrance. I needed a database to manage my research, and I ended up starting a database company on Macintosh in the mid-'80s in Paris. What leads people to become entrepreneurs can be very convoluted sometimes. I understood quickly that Silicon Valley was where things were happening, although it was not nearly as mythical as it is today. This is where I have lived for the past 30 years, and I have been the CEO of 4 technology companies. I've helped dozens of organizations of all sizes in all sorts of businesses as an advisor or a board member. So my book is based on my experience as an executive, of course, on the huge body of organizational studies performed by researchers throughout the world, because I still love academia, and also on a larger data set, employees' emotion that I was able to collect in multiple companies using WorkRise, which is a platform that measures the employee experience using vetted technologies in methodologies, I should say, in behavioral economics. And this is also a company that I started with a friend recently.
Well, first of all, I'm going to have to refuse your apology about your accent, because I think it's a beautiful accent. It really is. And also, I think you've been remarkably humble there, because you have been or are involved in areas that matter to every single business today, whether that be artificial intelligence, big data storage, business process management, and digital transformation. I could go on, virtual and augmented reality, social networks, cloud management, to name just a few. But despite these advances in technology that make our lives easier and improve communications, there still seems to be this disconnect between employees and their employers, especially where engagement is concerned. So can you tell me a little bit more about what led you to focus on employees and this particular problem?
Because it is just as critical as technology. You don't build companies without employees. Yeah. When we run companies, we tend to focus on the material aspects of the business, numbers, processes, and tangible accomplishments. And humans often come across as the irrational element that can throw sand into the gears. When I started my first company, I was shocked to see how wary my colleagues and my clients were about their employees. It reminded me of how shocked I had been when I started as a professor. My colleagues were also complaining about their students because they didn't know this, they didn't know that, they did not behave this way or that way. My personal disposition was to never undervalue people, to bring to them as much as I could, but also let them bring to me as much as they could. Companies don't innovate. The people in companies do. So it's better to work with them than in spite of them. And so as executive, I think we have to remember every morning that for companies, work is a means to an end. For employees, work is their livelihood and what they experience every day. So if you try to shield yourself from humans and treat them like cogs or gears in a machinery, you won't take care of the cogs. And just as in a material cog, they will seize up and break, disengage and stop transferring the motion. The end result is that between 50 and 70% of the employees in the Western world are either mildly engaged or sometimes downright disengaged.
What really strikes me as well is employees may not like their job, but we can still hope or assume that everybody wants to actually love their job, as the title of your book affirms.
Yes, we can. Employees may complain, but it doesn't mean that they don't want to love their job.